Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining me here to learn a little bit about Lush and hopefully to learn a little bit about how you can take some of our practices back to your organizations. So I'm Brandi, the brand director for Lush North America. I am here to chat with you guys today about how to brand like you give a damn. And specifically, though, I am here to talk to you about how to give a damn in business today. And how if you do give a damn and it's real, your fans will build your brand for you. And I know this because I've done it. I have helped build the brand that we have today, first as a customer, then as an employee, and now standing before you as a brand evangelist. The Kool-Aid at this point in my life is more like water. And an example of that is what you see on the screen here. So this is me standing in the middle of New York City wearing absolutely nothing but an apron. As you could tell by the people standing behind me with their cameras. Fortunately, this was a few years ago, so the cameras weren't quite as high quality. But this is me standing, basically taking a stand on an issue that I was passionate about, which was over-packaging in the cosmetics industry. At the time, I was a publicist for the brand, fully not intending to get naked in that shop that day. I was there to meet and greet the press. And I just needed to help the day along with the energy. And so literally in the middle of the shop, I took all of my clothes off and put this apron on. And this is an important part of my story. And what I want to impart in you guys all today is how we built a brand that has an employee base and a fan base that's so loyal that we're literally willing to take our clothes off. Oh, actually, I'm going to backpedal before I dive into that piece there. But so my story with Lush began in 2003. As you guys heard, I've been here 16 years. At Lush, we count our tenure in the amount of Christmases that we have survived. So we just survived I survived my 16th Christmas. Actually, I use that term loosely because I was on maternity leave for the last one. So technically lived through 15 and was there in spirit for the 16th. My journey began fresh out of university. I was an animal-loving vegetarian that fell in love with a hippie brand that happened to be based in Vancouver, and I happened to land into my dream job at the time as a fresh out of university communication student in the PR team. And so at the time I joined the company, we had one US store, 25 stores in Canada, and today we have 200 stores in the US and 50 stores in Canada. So I literally joined at the brink of massive expansion. And for those of us in the room who've been with organizations that are expanding, you know that you wear many hats and your roles change very quickly. So a few years into my role of doing media relations, traveling throughout the US, opening shops, I was asked to move to New York City and open a press office. Essentially I did that, opened an office, ran a team, was responsible for all the PR media coverage for North America. And PR really was and is one of the main ways that we've amplified our brand. I'll get into that a bit later. But again, about 5 years later, or 5 years ago, I was asked to relocate back to Vancouver from New York City, which is my hometown, to look after all of the communications functions in our business. And we'd gotten to the stage as a brand where we knew we were doing really good stuff in the world, but we weren't telling people about it in a way that was really impactful. So we brought together all of the teams in the business who were responsible for forward-facing messaging to hit the brand, hitting our customers in North America. And I took on that role as brand director 5 years ago. So for those of you guys in the room who aren't familiar with Lush, how many of you guys here do know Lush? All right, great, that's awesome. So I'm gonna give you a quick high level on the brand before I dive into sharing 3 main principles that I hope you can take back to your organizations and do some real good. So Lush is a British brand. You guys know that I work for the North American partner of the global brand. But it's a British brand, and we invent, manufacture, and retail bath, body, hair care, and skincare products. It's quite unique in the beauty world to be doing all 3 of those things. So that is something that does set us apart from other beauty brands that are out there. So in the work that we do also, we are a values-first brand through and through. We also challenge conventional cosmetics in the work that we do. And we also campaign for a better world, which I'm gonna dive into for you guys all in a minute here. And the values show up, or the best way to tell the Lush story is really through the values, and those show up through our products. So here's a quick run through of those values and how they show up in our products. So the first is freshness. It's intrinsic to the Lush brand, and what that means is ultimately we use fresh organic fruits and vegetables in our products, but we also ensure that we're selling fresh products to our customers. So the reason we do that is the more effective, the fresher the ingredient, the fresher the product, the more effective it's going to be for the bath, body, and hair. The second is that every product is handmade. We have over 1,000 stores globally, so the fact that we still hand make every single bath bomb that you guys see in a Lush store is pretty incredible. In addition to that, we also proudly put the faces of those people who hand make our products on the pots and bottles that you see. So we are incredibly proud of the fact that we are a massive employer. We have around 25,000 employees globally. And if you think about that, that's 25,000 brand champions out there in the world every day telling our story. Naked, this is absolutely intrinsic to who we are. Our founders, since inception, have been striving to reduce the amount of plastic that's landing in the environment, or amount of wasteful packaging, I should say, that's landing in the environment. And so what did they do? They challenged conventional cosmetics by actually taking traditionally liquid products, removing the water from those products and turning them into a solid, which actually removes the need for both a preservative and packaging. So Naked is actually Lush's way of speaking to the unpackaged products in our store, and it's about 45% of our product range right now. We proudly just opened 3 shops in Europe that are actually completely Naked stores. Another piece that sets Lush apart on our unique path is, of course, that we're absolutely cruelty-free. 100% vegetarian, 85% vegan, and absolutely no animals are involved in testing in any of our ingredients or final products. Lush actually takes the strongest stance against animal testing in the cosmetics industry. We go well beyond not testing on animals into the realm of campaigning to end animal testing globally for good. That's including legislative changes and just being very active in the animal rights community. And then last but not least is this idea of ethically sourcing. Globally, we are a billion-pound brand today. When you're a billion-pound brand producing products, you are buying a lot of ingredients. You have a tremendous buying power out there in the marketplace. And we've always ethically sourced our ingredients, but recently we've come to realize that, we've sustainably sourced our ingredients, but recently we have realized that sustainable is no longer enough, and we have to move into the space of regeneration. So that's really looking at renewing and refreshing the environments, the communities, and the economies from which we're buying our raw materials. So it's clear probably to you guys from walking you through these values that we are a hippie brand. We always have been a hippie brand, and we always will be. Additionally, we have had an incredible cult-like following, which is why I'm here on the stage before you today, of loyal, what we call Lushies. And these folks have truly helped build the brand that we have today. Something that's important to note is that we, as a brand, engage in very little traditional advertising, very little traditional marketing. We're just starting to dip our toe into it a bit now. And absolutely zero market research up until this stage, which is probably very interesting for all of us marketers in the room. I definitely see myself more as a brand guardian than a traditional marketer in my role today, essentially just working super hard to amplify the stories of the good work that the brand is getting up to. So how have we created this cult-like following without even knowing who our customers are? I'm going to share that with you guys now. And so the first principle that I want to share with you guys is this idea of STAN. And what I mean is stand for something. And this is the part that's going to line up beautifully with Douglas' chat this morning from Airbnb, for those of you guys who were in the room. It was a fantastic talk around finding purpose. So at Lush, absolutely, we are in business to do more than sell soap. And that is because we believe it's the right thing to do and because our customers hold us accountable to that. So it was about very recently, actually, that even though we've been a values-led brand, it was very recently that our founder, Mark Constantine, who you see here, articulated our purpose, our why, our vision. We also use those interchangeably at Lush. We're not, I think it's a universal. And he has essentially defined our why as to create a cosmetics revolution to save the planet. Absolutely, incredibly lofty. And I think it checked all the boxes that Douglas was saying this morning, which I felt good about. And so we believe that we're here at Lush to create a cosmetics revolution to save the planet. And it's not going to be an easy feat, but we are taking every decision that we make in the business builds towards this, which is also intrinsic to how you can be a successful values-led brand. So how do we intend to create this cosmetics revolution? And ultimately, it's through leveraging our cult-like following. It's leveraging that fan base that we've been able to build. And it's staying true to who we are. So I would invite all of you guys to, before I jump into that one, I think an important thing to note about standing for something is that if you're in the room today and you work for an organization and you don't stand for something today in this moment that you can clearly define, it's never too late to pick something and to stand for it tomorrow. And also, you don't have to be perfect to take a stand on something. What you need to be is transparent and honest about how you're taking steps. We are a cosmetics company. We produce products that have an impact on the environment. Also, making our products has an impact on the environment. But we are still boldly taking a stand and saying that we're going to revolutionize this industry in such a way that we are going to try and do our part to save the planet. So I'd encourage you all that if you today, your organizations don't take a stand on something, pick it, and then live true to it. And don't be afraid to strive for that constant perfection, because we all have to start somewhere. So the second principle that I want to share with you guys that Lush has leveraged, that I hope you can too, is this idea around innovation. I believe all of us in this room today, or most of us, are in the consumer products industry. We create products for consumers. And what I want to share with you guys here is this idea of innovating through the products that you're producing. So don't be afraid to disrupt that space through the products that you're actually bringing to market. I'm going to pull you guys back to those naked products for a second here. This truly was an innovation when it was invented around 30 years ago. What you're looking at here is a solid shampoo bar. This little powerful bar is the equivalent of using 3 250 milliliter plastic bottles. You know, those shampoo bottles that you guys all have, that we all have in our showers at home. 3 of those bottles is saved from hitting landfill if you use one of our shampoo bars. Equivalently, in the amount, last year alone, from the production of these solid shampoo bars, our customers saved 6 million plastic bottles from being produced at all. So imagine if the world moved towards using solid shampoo. It's a tiny shift in our everyday lifestyle, but has a dramatic impact on the amount of plastic that's landing in landfills every day. So innovate through those products. The second way that I want us to innovate our products is through the way we all give. I'm sure most of you guys in the room today have products in your lineup where a percentage of the proceeds go to an organization of your choice. Often it's a very small percentage. So I'd encourage you guys all to innovate in the way that you're giving. How did Lush do that? Well, we did it through this powerful pot here. This is the charity pot. It's a hand and body lotion where 100% of the price of this product goes to grassroots charities working in the areas of animal rights, environmental protection, and human rights. And what also makes this product unique in its giving model is it's our #1 selling hand and body lotion. So for a skincare company to donate 100% of the price of that product, their #1 selling product, is pretty significant. Something that's also quite unique about this program is that we give to grassroots organizations, and the maximum grant we give is $25,000. So what that means is that we can expand our reach into those communities that need our help the most, and where those dollars are going to have the biggest impact. So that means that we've donated, since the product was invented, $36 million to 2,600 organizations. Now think about the fact that there's in 47 countries, there are 2,600 organizations out there loaded with people in 47 countries that are telling the world what Lush stands for, because we have moved the dial on their community projects. And so they are out there being brand advocates every day just through our giving model. So again, if you guys aren't innovating the way you're giving, please do. The third way that I would encourage you guys to innovate through your products is actually to create products purely for social change. This is a product that we've just invented. It's a limited edition. It's in market right now. It's selling out quickly. I'm going to show you a quick clip to tell you that will tell you guys the story behind this. So there are 14,600 orangutans left in the world. How insane is that? And so Lush produced 14,600 pieces of orangutan soap. 100% of the proceeds of that soap go to buying rainforest land in Sumatra that we can convert back to native forest. And interestingly enough, as you guys saw in that video, one of the biggest culprits of the deforestation that's happening in Indonesia is the palm industry. And Lush is a player in that industry. The soap industry is one of the main causes or one of the main sources of seeking palm oil. So as soon as Lush discovered this many years ago, we immediately reformulated all of our soap bases to take palm oil out of our soap bases. And yet, there still can be traces of palm found in some of the ingredients that we use. And so our inventors are doing what they can to get all of that palm out of our products. But we are taking a stand. We're discussing palm despite the fact that we can't claim to be completely palm-free. So you do have to be bold and you do have to be brave. And like I said, you don't have to be perfect to educate and to enlist people in making the right decisions with their purchasing power through what they're buying. So if you guys are near a Lush store, swing by and get one of those orangutan soaps so that you guys can do some good in the world as well. So the third area that I want to challenge you guys around and share the Lush learnings is this idea of disruption, and specifically disrupting the space that you're in. And so we are all part of an industry. We're all part of a space. How we choose to behave in that space is up to us. We're leaders in these organizations, and it really is up to us how we can show up in the space. So for Lush, we work in the beauty space. Obviously, that's the space that we're part of. We're also in the retail space. And I can assure you that if you are purchasing from Lush, we are going to mix your bathwater with politics. And there are going to be people out there who hate that. And there are lots of people out there who love that. And the ones who hate that are going to go buy their soap from somewhere else. And the ones that love it are going to become our brand champions. They're going to be out there in the community telling the world about us, and we know this because they have, and they built the brand that we have today. So how does Lush disrupt the space that we're in? Well, we have shop fronts in over 1,000 locations around the world. Some of the highest foot traffic in these shops, some of the highest foot traffic areas around the world. These shops provide a huge opportunity to educate. So what we do is actually use our retail space as giant protest placards. We use our 25,000 sales associates as on-the-ground activists. And we use our products, as you guys saw, to educate and raise funds for groups who are going to continue to do the good work when we have to go back to selling soap. So I'm going to give you guys an example of a campaign that we recently ran. This was a campaign that we ran last February around bringing visibility to the dangers and discrimination that trans people still face today. This campaign came at the request of our staff, and it actually showcased our staff as well. So what you're seeing here is a quote that showed up in all of our shop windows, 250 stores across North America. "This is my identity, not a trend," and this was from one of our staff members. What we did is we launched a limited edition bath melt called the Inner Truth. Again, 100% of the proceeds of this product went to those groups who are going to continue to work on securing transgender rights well after our campaign had wrapped. And we turned our shops into campaign centers where people could come and have into a safe space and have conversations, where our employees were trained and educated to have these conversations, and where we really were creating a sense of community around being an ally to our trans friends, colleagues, customers, and soon-to-be customers who are just hearing about us for the first time through our trans rights campaign. And an integral part of the success of our campaign, and all campaigns, of course, is that they are either employee or consumer-led. So these topics are bubbling up to us from our staff, from our consumers, and they're often the ones that we're showcasing and communicating the messages through. Here's an example of that. All the people that you're going to see in this video are our staff.
I want people to know that
the way I choose to present myself doesn't make my identity any more or less valid.
I am 100% me, and there's nothing that you can do about it.
I'm non-binary, but that doesn't mean I'm confused about who I am.
No one identity or experience is the same.
My gender identity is a journey. I'm learning more the older I get.
My transition is none of your business.
Fall in love with hearts, not parts.
I am a person.
Trans rights are human rights.
Trans rights
are human rights.
Trans rights are human rights.
Trans rights
are human rights.
So this video I really wanted to share with you all because it was employee-led, which leads into my last principle that I want to share with you all, which is this idea of empowerment and empowering your people. And when I stand before you today and say people, I mean your staff and your customers. Because if you are truly a cult brand, these are one and the same. You can't separate them. Many of our customers eventually become staff members, and many of our staff members eventually will always be customers. And if someone does work for us, I mean, one of our, we are a holiday, at holiday time we double the number of staff. And if somebody works for us for 3 months as a holiday hire, we want them to leave their experience with Lush as a lifetime customer as well. And they often do, and they often return every holiday season while they're putting themselves through school. So empowering your people, your customers and your staff, you guys saw that as kind of a common thread through everything that I've been sharing with you guys today. So what does that mean? That means empowering them with a platform. You guys have businesses, we have businesses. We've got the shop fronts, we've got digital platforms with millions of followers. It is the right thing to do to lend those platforms to the people who move your business forward. So I included this picture because look how happy he is to be pressing bath bombs. At Lush, we have a saying, happy people making happy soap. And I think this picture absolutely personifies that. But what we do at Lush is, of course, we give a platform to our staff and to customers. We empower them, we give them the tools, and we give them the space to be their best selves. Ultimately, that's what we want to be doing. And we give them the opportunity to showcase their love, their authenticity. This was a Valentine's Day campaign that we were literally just promoting our Valentine's Day range. One of these beautiful women is our employee in manufacturing. She brought her partner along. This picture to us captured love. We popped it up in our shop windows, and it created quite a stir that we absolutely were not expecting. But for us, this was incredibly empowering to our staff. And truly, if you do empower your staff, if you give them the platform, if you give them a space to be their best selves, they are going to give you their loyalty. They're going to lend you their voices to further causes. They're going to give you their dollars, and they may even give you the clothes off of their back, if you're lucky enough. So this is, the Naked campaign actually has been a recurring campaign in the Lush world. It's run all over the world. I have some colleagues here. I'm not sure if you have gotten naked as well. Yes, see? 3 of us in the room have all been naked. And this campaign is really around showing the world that you can create cosmetics that don't require that wrapping, that wasteful packaging. And it's a fun and cheeky way for us to get people's attention on the streets. So I want to wrap up just with one more short video that kind of, I think, nicely brings out the message of empowering your people. And when I say that, I mean our customers and our staff.
How did we become part of the naked revolution?
We haven't come this far to only come this far. There's people's lives on the line. There are people who are just trying to be themselves.
So I would implore you guys all to take a stand, if you haven't already, to innovate in the products that you guys are bringing to market for social good. I'd encourage you all to disrupt the space that you're in. You're not going to build a cult-like following playing it safe, and empower your people. And if you do, you too will be able to wrap up every year with a video like that, thanking them for building the brand for you. Thank you, guys. Oh, shoe malfunction.
That was wonderful. Thank you very much. It makes me wonder if, like, how much are you a cosmetics brand versus a social justice brand or a social advocate brand?
Yeah.
Is there a distinction between the two within your organization?
I think more and more there's less and less of a distinction. I think, you know, around the boardroom table, we're often laughing about the fact that we behave more like a charitable organization than we do a cosmetics company. But at the end of the day, we are also serious in recognizing that we can't continue to get up to this mischief if we aren't selling the products. So, you know, the two are intimately entwined. You know, if Lush were to go out of business, we believe that the world would be negatively impacted. And so we do have to ensure that we're selling products to keep stirring the pot, so to speak.
Sorry, I jumped in because I was just like baffled by some of what you've said in a good way. That was a very confusing presentation. For those of you who also have
Thanks for clarifying.
Yeah, no, it was very clear and well put together. We are taking questions. You can tweet your questions using the hashtag #GatheringLush. I think what you just said, in some ways, answers one of my major questions. You've got several products that you referenced today that have that 100% of the proceeds go towards a given cause. Mm-hmm. How the hell did you do that? How scary was that the first time you did it? And why do you keep doing it?
Well, I mean, keep in mind, we have 400 products in our stores, and the charity pot is a mainstay item that is in our shops at all times. And like I said, it's our #1 selling bath or hand and body lotion. But we build it into our forecasting, we build it into our planning, we build it into the cost of running our organization. And really, you know, Lush is just donating the labor and the raw materials. It's our customers who are actually funding those initiatives and who are giving their dollars to those initiatives. So it isn't really about how Lush does it, it's about how our customers are willing to hand over their money so that they can make a change in the world.
We had Greenpeace come to the gathering several years ago, and I think one of the things that stood out for me from that presentation was she sort of looked at all the other brands that were being honored that year and said, it's very cool that your customers will pay slightly more to buy products from you, but my customers will go to jail for me.
Yeah.
Does the same sense, does that exist at Lush? Are your consumers as passionate as advocates on these causes as you as an organization are?
Absolutely. You know, we're often marching alongside customers, you know, and often the things that we participate in recently in, you know, the Women's March, that bubbles up from our customers asking, you know, why wasn't Lush there? Black History Month, you know, people come knocking on our door. Why aren't you guys standing up and making a statement around this? So I would say that, we are very much in line with that sort of Greenpeace mentality of the level of activism and desire to do good in the world for the people who work for us and shop with us.
On that note, it seems as though the things that you referenced in your presentation today, they cross a large spectrum of social issues. Mm-hmm. Are there territories that the brand won't enter into, and is that intentional, or you just haven't gotten around to it?
You know what, there aren't any that we intentionally, like on a blacklist of we won't ever go there. What we tend to do is gravitate towards issues that need our help the most. Things that are on the cusp of becoming mainstream that just need a bit more of a gentle nudge. I mean, the transgender campaign is a perfect example of that. I mean, only in the last year really has transgender rights been on the mainstream media agenda. And largely we felt that we had to do that campaign because we felt transgender rights were under attack with the current US administration. And so, you know, there's nothing that's sort of an absolute hard no from a sort of long-term planning perspective. It's a constant evolution. Needs arise for our platforms, and we will decide as they arise.
I think one of the things that makes organizations fearful of the approach that has been so successful for your brand is that every time you take a stance on something, a hard stance on something, you alienate someone else. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of our research would suggest that cult brands intentionally pick fights. Mm-hmm. The question that I think comes to my mind is it's very easy for an organization to say, it's not very easy, it's very difficult for an organization to say, we're going to take a stand on this, knowing that we're going to alienate 30, 40% of our consumers. But then you guys double down, triple down, quadruple down. You've taken stances on dozens, would it be fair to say, dozens of issues?
I mean, I would say
that you've been there?
Hundreds of issues.
Hundreds of
issues? I mean, every charity partner that we align ourselves with is taking a stand on an issue. I mean, we like them to line up with the animal rights, human rights, and environmental rights, which essentially is all rights, if you think about it.
That's a list, yeah.
So I would say there's been hundreds of things. And I mean, it can be a challenge to keep up. I would say that from a brand communications perspective. I mean, we have people behind the scenes who are helping us to make sure that we're on top of all of the issues. And also, we rely heavily on our partners. So all of those organizations that we fund through the charity pot, if we're ever running into any challenges, publicity-wise or social media backlash, we often enlist them to help really ensure that our messaging is on point and that we are lending the right voice to their issue.
I'm sure you've had multiple instances where you've taken a stance on something, you've put something out there, and there has been some form of backlash. Mm-hmm. Would you care